kind of one of your typical stories, really. I guess it's the very beginning is kind of interesting because I don't have like no one in my family played poker games, and I didn't play poker at all in high school. Some of my friends did, but I was just like, nah, I'm not trying to lose my money to you guys. And then in college, I was a sprinter. I was a very competitive Division II sprinter at a Wesleyan college, and I had an injury. And whenever I was hurt, I started playing online poker because of a friend's recommendation. Like we played play money stuff, and within like 6 months, I was winning a lot of money, given that I had none to start. There were a few crazy steps. I think the first one was the very first tiny one was I won a 30K man $11 tournament for like whatever 25K, and that started me. And then I played a lot of heads up sit and goes, and the next thing for me was I satellited into a 1K buy-in tournament, and I won that. It was for like, I don't know, 90,000 or something. And the real big break for me was in the spring of 2009. I had one of those crazy online poker weeks that you hear about like once or twice a career for somebody, where I won the 1K on on Tuesday or Monday. It was either in Full Tilt or Stars. And then Thursday I won a scoop for 300,000, and Sunday I won another tournament on Full Tilt for like 50,000, and that was a crazy week. And yeah, I mean, there were a lot of those, but there were a lot of ups and downs for me. I was very spendy and had never had money before in my life, so I thought that the amount of money that I won would go a lot further than it did. So I wasn't like one of these guys that was really disciplined and did all the right things with my bankroll and just kept working hard and building it up. Like when you hear stories of like Ben 86 or Sauce, those guys won millions of dollars and they did it in like the cleanest way possible. Whereas me, I was like a young rapper from West Virginia. I got my hands on some money, and I wanted to show everybody that I had made some. I think in some ways finishing school kind of made it harder because I had a few friends that I really admired and gave me a ton of advice. Like I've never had a father, so I had like some older friends in college that were kind of like father figures to me. And whenever I first started playing poker, even I didn't know if I had a gambling problem or not. I felt like I was like learning and I was okay, but I was like, is this what everybody says? Because it kind of is like, this is what it sounds like,
Yeah.
And but I finished undergrad, and I also got an MBA, and that was just like a result of I had a redshirt year in track, and I tried to come back at the end of college, and I did, but I sucked. But the positive side of that was I did finish an MBA program, and I got a job in Pittsburgh selling group insurance, and a guy that I really respect and a mentor to me helped me get that job, and I quit very, very quickly because one, I didn't like it. I knew it wasn't for me, but two, I really knew that I had something with poker. And it wasn't my family. Like my mom was just kind of like, all right, yeah, do it. You seem like a reasonable guy. But all my friends that I admired were like, dude, you can't do this. Like, what are you thinking? Like you just like spent all this effort and you have school debt and you put all this time into finishing an MBA and you got a really good job and you're just going to bounce on it. And I was like, yeah, there are a few things to it though. Like the first layer is like, I was raised in trailer parks and raised in like really poor, like farmhouses and education was never valued in my household. It was like, so the first thing, like I think through my 20s, I actually was like, I questioned my own intelligence a lot, but it was more, I think, like I just wasn't given the tools at a young age to really start to master things like math and science and logic and learning and efficiency in learning that a lot of kids like from solid backgrounds that they have those gifts as young kids, So like I had that against me to begin with. Like a lot of these guys are from classical math backgrounds, and on top of that, they're outrageously talented. So the first element to that was like the education thing. Like even though I have like higher education after school, I was kind of like a jock / poker player in college that was pretty bright and just got through. I
Right.
wasn't like a committed like Timofey Kuznetsov who's like a mathematician. I just wasn't me.
Right.
And on top of that, like, I feel like my ceiling of aptitude is lower than just from being around these guys and competing against them. I think a lot of the top guys just have higher aptitude than me. So I think you're absolutely right about that. Luckily, poker is a very deep, complex game. And if it were just us sitting around solving math problems, I would be like a 1-2 grinder. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there's a lot more to it. And I love competition. I love, like I said, the human element. I love, even though I'm not a stary guy like in live poker, I'm very dialed into the physical and live elements of poker. I think that I'm naturally talented at that, and I will, like, I decided like this was what I was going to do, and I was going to be the best that I could possibly be, even if it killed me, you know. And that meant like I would be alone for months on end, grinding every single way I could learn. Like, it's great to have somebody who shoots it straight with you, pulls you back to reality, like doesn't let you feel sorry for yourself, you know. A lot of it's really like you want to feel worse than you deserve to feel. And that's really good. Like, support is great and compassion is good, which she certainly gives me both of those. But at the same time, like, I'm unrealistically upset sometimes. Like I'll come home, grumble, grumble, grumble. I didn't win the main event this year, you know, grumble, grumble,
Yeah.
grumble, you know, or whatever. It's just completely irrational thought. It's like, it's really good to have somebody be like, okay, you know, have your beer, and then let's like actually talk about something that matters, you know, or whatever.
Right.
So it's really good in that way, and she helps pull me back to earth, and like really, you know, as cliche as it is, like, helps me have gratitude for things, and come back to seeing things from a rational point of view. And you were saying, you know, like, I play higher stakes than you, and you come home in this mood, or I come home in this mood. It really doesn't matter. It's like we all feel the same way. I've felt the same physical sensation since I started playing this game. It's like the stakes have gotten way bigger for me, but inside it feels exactly the same, and I'm sure that that's the same for everyone else across the board. And it's really, um, it's an extreme thing what we do, and it requires, thing about poker that other elements of like variance, like, there are other professions where you win and lose money. Like if you're a private business owner, you know, like, you can come home poorer than you were the day that you went to work. But with poker, the thing that's really intense about it is you're always in kind of like a fight or flight state when you play. Like, if you have to play, if you want to play your best poker, specifically live, like, you almost have to have spidey senses sometimes. You have to feel it, you know, you have to, like, your whole body has to be dialed into this experience. I remember, like, I was in Vancouver and I went to Whistler for a month by myself once, literally a month. And I was in this, like, Haralabob actually had this big ass cabin, and he wasn't in town, and he was like, yo, you can just stay at my place. It's an amazing place. And I just sat there in that cabin and I grinded. And this was in maybe 2014 or something. And I remember, like, playing, like, I would play like 3,000 hands of Zoom a day. And I remember, like, I was like at a stalemate for like 20,000, 30,000 hands. I remember, like, putting my head on the table and crying, like crying by myself in this cabin, like you don't have what it takes. I remember feeling like that because I decided to step out of the live poker realm and not come back until I felt like my fundamentals were the best they'd ever been and like really elite. And like I had like a few of these moments where I just really felt like I wanted to give up, and I felt like I didn't have what it took. And honestly, it's like, um, thank God I've been so persistent, because I have had plenty of excuses to quit poker. Um, and you know, and like I said, even during doing this interview, there is a little bit of survivorship bias, because, like, you know, I'm probably like above, like, if there were 1,000 iterations of Jason playing poker tournaments and cash games and all this, I'm probably running above EV, you know, like, not just poker, like life wise, opportunity wise, the relationships that I've built. Like, I feel like that, you know, I'm sitting here telling you this story about like how I made it and how things worked and how I do things well. But like, I'm probably pretty damn lucky too, you know? So a lot of good things have happened for me to get here. The other major point is my fiance, who was my girlfriend, whenever I kind of started really lighting up in poker, is that wasn't by coincidence. She left her job to travel with me, handle my bookkeeping, make sure I was fed, keep my head up whenever I was getting crushed. And on top of that, I was like, okay, this is the first time in my life that I realized this is the person I'm going to go the distance with, and I need to get my shit together and make some wealth here so we can get this done. And
Let's
that,
just take August 1st, $1 million buy-in tournament. Let's just do that day. What? Give me like a little bit of a glimpse at what your day would look like.
so by then I'll be calculated into my wake up time. I'll probably get up at 9:30 that morning. I won't eat until probably the end of the second level of the tournament. But what I'll do is I'll do like a light routine. I'll lay on like an acupressure pad. I'll foam roll. I'll skip rope. I won't do anything intense though. I'll meditate if I feel like it. If I don't feel like meditating, I'll go out and take a walk outside and just kind of clear my thoughts. Um, I I have like I don't know a bunch of bands and stuff I work out with. I won't do any heavy like gym work. I'll do heavy lifts and stuff this week going into the tournament and do a bunch of cardio and whatever just to get myself ready for 14 days of poker. But whenever I start playing, I do no heavy lifting, no heavy cardio. I restrict my carbohydrates very intensely, which I don't do until I play. So I do like a moderate, like kind of slow carb diet that's like paleo based every day of my life. But once I start playing, I go fully ketogenic and I do almost no carbohydrates and just tons of fat, and I'll stay that way for 14 days. So you'll probably see me lose like 10 pounds over 2 weeks almost. It'll be really, really intense. Like this happens every trip. Like I'll come in about 180 pounds this trip and I'll leave 170 pounds.